so much for doing this. You're our first. You're my
Am
first, LB. You're my
I am
first.
flattered. Look, what a turn of events.
I
What a
know.
turn of events that we just meet, and then you're from this world, and I'm from that world, and now we're here, and now we're buddies, and now you're asking the questions, and then I don't know. What a world! And
So
congratulations on your launch. Well
thank
done.
you.
The
Thank
beginning
you. Thank
of
you. Thank you.
is now. Of the beginning is now.
Exactly. That is exactly very meta and very true. Talking
Yeah.
about beginnings,
Yeah.
uh, do
Yeah.
you remember how we met, right? Do you want to give us a little account of how
Oh,
we met?
we can do my perspective because we do really like to, we really mind this one.
I know, but why not? Listen, we're going to share it
I
with
love
the world. The more people, the better.
it is gold. So, okay, because it's a typical thing. I don't know about you guys, but I personally just go to tons of parties with movie stars in airport hangars in Los Angeles. It's sort of just like a regular Thursday.
Right.
And,
Mhm.
um, and so I think Brooke is, maybe it was her first one, and I was like, oh, here's another one anyway. And it was a number of years ago, and it was when Mr. Tom Cruise was married to Ms. Katie Holmes, and they had a party. If one remembers, it was almost like the moon landing. It was Victoria Beckham moving to Los Angeles, and it was treated with a similar degree of fervor and importance. I think there was a reality show. There was lots of promenading, and so Tom and Katie had a welcome to LA party in typical subtle Tom Cruise style in an aircraft hangar in Los Angeles. And so I went there with Rita Wilson, actually, who's a great lady, a friend of
Fabulous woman.
a fabulous woman. And Brooke, I don't know who you went with. You were just there, and you're an independent woman. And it was,
My husband, the,
oh,
the the man you actually really like.
Curtis. I
Yeah, yeah, that's him.
Curtis Minchie. Yeah, he's great. Anyway, and we were on the dance floor. And number one, firstly, there was this thing like, I mean, I don't know if you've all seen videos of like Tom Cruise at things. You know, he really gives it his all. Anyway, so he's like, firstly, in the dance floor being like, whoa, yeah, best time, whoa, whoa, and everyone's going, woo, and having the best time. Anyway, that peters out, whatever happens. And then I look over and like, who's across the crowded dance floor? And I think we're basically now girls dancing around our bags as they do. And it's one young Brooke Shields, and she's dancing. We sort of lock eyes and we commence dancing like
Assholes,
dickheads.
dickheads.
Dickheads, Brooke. There's a technical term. It's dickheads.
The
Anyway,
dickhead is right.
spoke
Sorry, my bad.
like
Well, I was dancing by myself because I felt so bizarrely uncomfortable. Not that that's bizarre for me to be uncomfortable, but there were so many movie stars. There were so many big, like it was so big that
Mhm.
none of it, it was surreal. So none of it really made sense to me. So when good songs came on, I just started dancing like a dickhead myself. And then I locked eyes with you and thought, oh, fellow dickhead, I'm going to shimmy on over to her area and see if we can be stronger, as two dickheads are better than one.
My mother always told me that. And so we just started dancing away. And then that was sort of it, I think. I don't even think we got contact numbers or anything there. But then a few
No,
days later,
right.
at Hearst Tower, the executive floor, for some beauty lunch, I forget what it was. And Estee Lauder or something, maybe? I forget. Anyway, and you're there, and I go up and I go, you! Basically, you! On the dance floor, because that's also no one else knows who you are, so you just have to go you from the dance floor, otherwise I wouldn't have a clue who you are anyway. And you went yes, and I went yep, and
Yes.
oh god,
But here's the thing
a
that's
long
so
time
interesting.
ago, and here
It
we
was a
are.
long time ago, but then you folded me into your friends, your Aussie
Yeah,
contingent,
yeah.
and it was love at first sight. I just saw Ant and
Mhm.
Rasa and MJ and everybody while I was in London, and you know that it's so refreshing when you are not in your school friends, you're not in your work friends, you're of us like a certain age where you're kind of set, and then you meet a new person, and
Yeah.
I think that was so beautiful. But you invited me into your very close group of friends, and I'll always appreciate that because it opened up a whole part of my personal and social life, which is, and also professional life, which has
What's
been
so cool
great.
about you, Mrs., and I've said this a million times, is that you don't look for all the stuff that you come with, all your iconography. You don't have any affect to you. So it's, if someone had told me 20 years ago, hey, guess what? You're going to befriend Brooke Shields, and then she's going to become really close with your friends from like Sydney, and like that. No, no. But that's because you're just in the world, you see, and you like people, and you don't carry yourself with that, and you don't live in space, and that's why I felt that was the most natural thing in the world, for you to meet.
Well, I was so happy, and I'm incredibly blessed to be close to them now. I mean, but when we first met, and then even at that moment, you weren't working in your current
No,
position.
Harper's Bazaar, I would have probably been features and special projects director, probably not executive editor. But it was basically I ran all the features department, and I booked all the celebrities and all the covers and stuff. So
you start in Australia. How do you get to here? How do you
plane?
Okay. And okay, I'm not going to say that, but not how, but you decide, okay, this is the world I want to be in, and let me see what sticks. Like, because that was one of the biggest new beginnings in your life, which this career shift and life shift.
Well, it's just but I got to say, I know I am being facetious about a plane got me here, but getting on a plane is sort of a great metaphor, I think, or taking a bit of a leap and starting something, or physically getting on a plane or going somewhere else or doing what all that. I'm the biggest advocate of if you're able to jump into a new world and you're curious enough about it. And did I just freeze? You froze. Did I just freeze?
You
Did I freeze?
you went out for a little while, but you're back in.
I'm a big proponent of if you have the ability and the resources, and it could be this much because I had this much when I got on that plane, to try and fling yourself into another environment or life if you're curious about it, especially if you're lucky enough that I came from Australia, so my worst case scenario is going back to beautiful Australia. So
Right.
so I wanted very badly to be part, and as well, I'm a journalist, so we're naturally a curious bunch. It's the DNA. It was 2001 when I moved here, so we didn't have social media. We didn't have email and stuff, but you were kind of getting things second, and I just was like, no, I want to see it. I want to see the fashion show. I want to see the play. I want to see just where they start, and not where they kind of where they're after. And Australia was like that. Australia's so not like that now because everybody's linked on on social, but so I felt a very distinct urge to come here. So yeah, I picked up and came.
But you didn't have a job.
2001, and
you didn't have a job to come to. You just came.
I didn't have a job. I did not have a job to come to. I had this really dodgy visa that was a foreign visa, which is like you're supposed to just like, so you get a couple of letters from like Australian magazines and papers or whatever and say she's going to write for us, and that basically you're not supposed to make any money in the country. In the US, you can make money from British or Australian or whatever, and that's how I got myself here. That was the condition. So it was very, very scrapey, and then I got here a week before September 11th. So
wow.
a month of timing. And and it was, all those things. Look, very lucky. Obviously didn't lose people, all the things. But it was a bit like, what? and people like come, and you're like, well, but you're just like in it. You're just there. So you're like my mom was calling me, and I remember being like in Gristedes, like buying tuna, and she's like, it's the World War III, and I was like, I'm buying tuna right now. Like, it was very. Sometimes you just, especially when you just take a leap in, you're just there,
Right.
And I was and I'm a big advocate of being, and you're a bit like this, and this is not a criticism. I think it's one of my favorite words now, guileless. But being guileless and just going, okay, I'll go. And it doesn't mean stupid. It doesn't mean stupid. It doesn't mean that you're
naive or
ignorant.
ignorant.
No, naive. It just means that you are lacking in guile, which is you're just like, okay, let's
I'm
go.
present, but
I'm gonna
also,
try. I'm gonna show up. See what- yeah.
but you've done that with every single new beginning
Oh,
that
do you have
you've
the
had.
consumption?
No, it's all the cigarettes and the whiskey. Um, I've just been
It is.
talking way too
Yeah.
much, um, and I have the consumption. But there, every new beginning that you've started, like whenever you talk to me, it's that it is, whether it's guileless or fearless or whatever it is. It's this. Who
Clueless.
knows? I only know that I'm not going to know unless I try.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And
but what? So what drives you though? How do you
you,
like? There's going to be fear in all new beginnings. How do you get past that? Because part of this whole platform is this site is this belief in not letting fear dictate your inhibiting you.
I think it's enthusiasm
Mm.
and curiosity. I think, like, especially in the fashion business, they're always like, "Oh, if you're like really excited about something, people are like." Eh. I think there's nothing cooler than enthusiasm. I think there's nothing cooler than being excited about where you are or the potential of where you are and who you might meet there. And I remember very thing about I love about New York and all the years I've been here. But I used to say, like, in the beginning of the week in New York or in a career in a place where you want to go, so even to broaden that, if it's an interesting place, an interesting career, I used to be like, at the beginning of the week here, I never knew how my week was going to end. I didn't know what
Okay.
was, I would have the most remarkable experiences and they'd all be wedged together on like a Tuesday. Like I'd go do something with Karl Lagerfeld and then I'd go to a shoot and then I'd go to a party where I'd see someone I'd always kind of mythologize. It'd just be a Tuesday. And like back at home, I'd be like, if I could ever, because you mythologize things, as you know this
Okay.
very well, mythologized yourself. Um, but you just, yeah, you just kind of show up. And I was just super excited to be here. But then as I started to work, you do mythologize it very much. But the more you get the measure of the place and the more work you produce, the less I still appreciate it, but I'm not as dazzled. I'm not as ignorant, obviously. And I'm also, I started to learn that not everybody here was more glamorous, more clever, more connected, more da 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 than me. And
Right.
because you're conditioned to that, especially when you're trying to go into a fancy business in a fancy town. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, going, it's a meeting one day. It was like retailer or something. And I was just like, oh, I'm kind of running this room here. Little farm girl over here is running this. So I think that's what if you can manage to marry. Yeah, what I love is when you can marry the appreciation and enthusiasm about what you're doing with a growing command over what you're doing, an acknowledgement of the command and what you do. And every single lady, especially our demo and whatever industry you is, you have command, you have equity. Every single thing you've done means something, and it gives you building blocks that you can always stand on. They're always yours. So
That's
confidence in that, plus you're like up for it, it can be very extremely satisfying.
and just being game in general for each day. Like it's not just faking it until you make it. It's sort of going in and not assuming that everybody is better than you are, or in this social media mentality, look how fabulous their life is and look how not fabulous mine is, and let me alter it in such a way. But what you said is so important, because you have never, when all these things that you were telling me right a second ago and are the fancy people and names,
Yeah.
you're that same person with your group from Australia, whether we're going to a deli
Mm-hmm.
or at a big fancy thing. So I think that appreciation for it, and it's a really beautiful message to sort of say, appreciate who you are in every situation, because no one is you.
Yeah, and
What
have
you individually bring to it.
this healthy sense of yourself. And I often say I'm respectful but not reverent. You know what I mean?
Ah,
Because
okay.
all these people, and I've talked to you about this, any of my friends who are well-known people, I'm like, there are just people and don't really envy anybody because there's nothing to be envied. But I think I always had the ability, maybe it's only child syndrome or whatever, but just to walk in a room and just be like, hey, blah, 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 because I sort of also appreciated that I had something to bring too. That I have, oh, look, of course, I have social skills. I know I have social skills, but I was just going there. I'm not going to suddenly. And the minute that you clearly are intimidated, or you're clearly glorifying or mythologizing this person right in front of you, it freaks them out. You know this. It makes you
Right.
just like, ugh. Okay, this person is just not coming at me on a normal human level, and
Right.
it's the best thing you can do, because everybody has something to bring. It doesn't matter if you're not in movies and don't have a big house and whatever it is. You have something. If you're in a room, you deserve to be there, and it
Right.
doesn't matter who else is in there with you. And I just wish, that's why I'm always super conscious of this, because I think it served me well by being like, no, I'm here too. I'm very conscious of trying to remind, younger people, or, that's really important.
You and I do this, you when we talked about this, you and I do this thing too, where we waka, we come in and we make everybody feel comfortable because we don't want to be threatening to them. And we're gonna, and
So,
and then it sometimes serves us, and then sometimes is exhausting, and you think, where am
yeah.
I, just to get to just be. But
Mhm.
I'm curious also about the negativity that gets thrown at us, telling us from whatever young age, or from whatever, that we can't do something, we're not good enough, we're not. I My mom always would say, well, she would say a lot of things, but usually it was like, fuck them if they can't handle it. Like, but there was this constantly being told, negating you,
Right.
and how do you, like, how, okay, my daughter just went to college, like, my girls, right? What would you say to my girls? What would you say, like, you're gone this new environment, people are going to be threatened by you, people are going to be this, but
Um,
don't.
I have, it's a bad word. Own your shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you bring something to this. And one thing I think, it's not even just with young girls, teenage girls, college age girls. I find, and what I talk about often, it actually took me culturally a little while to get my head around it, because coming from Australia, we're quite self-deprecating and quite like, and also women, this sort of thing that's plagued women throughout, history, is this sort of sometimes timidity or lack of ownership, or not wanting to say they're proud, or not wanting to say they're ambitious. And I now, after all this, I'm like, no, what are you proud of? What are you ambitious for? Tell me. What do you own? What's yours? And I've had, really sort of worryingly, I've had super famous actresses who've got Oscars and everything say, oh, I don't like the word pride, it's got too much ego in it. And it's like, no, it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
So like, I find that strange. I was never like,
Not prideful, but
prideful,
being
not
proud,
not arrogant.
right? Not arrogant, just
Like,
owning your shit, like you said.
you're bringing something there, and so you can speak to, no one's going to look at you askance if you say, that's mine and I made it and I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? Or, I learned this today and I know that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And having to second guess yourself. And look, so oftentimes this does take some maturity, of course. So look, I'm not going to pretend that when you and I were like, 17, 18 years old, we were all together. And so it does take living on this earth a little bit, but I do, I wish for young women that every single part of their life that they've brought to this point is so relevant, and what you see on all these other things is a whole pile of bullshit, and to, and the faster you can see around it, the better
Mhm.
off. And I think I'm lucky, and I'm sure you think that this is why you have such a great perspective on things too. When you get in this industry, and because it's all shiny from the outside, and then when you get in, you sort of just get the measure of it, and you sort of look over its shoulder a bit, and you're like, so I'm glad I got to meet all these people. Yeah, because some of them are cool and famous, great. But I remember the first time I saw a retouching happening on a magazine cover of a supermodel who is unbelievably gorgeous, but on this particular day had a pimple and a this and that. I remember going, oh. And I wish this,
Interesting.
magazine covers and retouching is what Instagram filters are now. And
Right.
I'm so lucky that I was privy to the mechanics of this glamour biz. So I
Right.
never sort of felt like, it was a real goal, or I didn't fall for it, I guess, as much as some of these young girls do now, because they didn't see that stuff. Anything I try to do in my job is at least not to be like, here's an unretouched lady in her underwear. It's not that, but it's a bit like, here's real people, real people. Here we
Oh,
are.
you've done that. You've definitely infused you've sort of bridged a gap, I think, between what the fashion world is and all this sort of being hyper aware, but also there's this authenticity that I think you've brought into your work. And obviously, and I mean, I told you about Beginning Is Now like a
Yeah.
while ago, and you talk about a leap of faith and something that I, I can't believe that that's happening. And we talked about what it was, and I ended up sort of calling it a well-being platform
Right.
because it's the whole picture. It's
Yeah.
not just like you said, the cosmetic aspect of it, which is whatever that is. But I think the definition of wellness and well-being through this process for me has had so many different meanings. Like uh, what does wellness mean to you? Like,
Um, Rest,
yeah,
um, mental, physical rest, big time. It's funny. It's a weird one. That does the word that came to mind is I don't think is something that I would have expected to come up with. Perspective.
yeah. Do you
Um,
start each day in a like reminding yourself of that, or is there like a mantra or a?
no, you're giving me too much credit.
Well, I mean, I don't. I roll out of bed and just start
Lurch out of
racing.
bed. You and
Yeah.
I are
So
the same crazy Gemini freaks who just kind of go, who just
yeah.
lurch around or hope we don't fall on anyone. No, but I think it is. I think wellness is perspective on yes, seeing, knowing your limit. Oh, also, and this is something that women are never conditioned to say, and I actually love it. Love and embrace your limitations. Know what they are. Know what you can't handle. This
Right.
whole time, like, oh no, you can do this, you can do that. I can't handle. I need to get sleep. I can't handle it. I can't handle staying up late. Da 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 da. I can't handle whatever it is. If I'm overscheduled or whatever, I'll flake out of something. Know what you can't handle. Accept it, and then manage yourself around it. It was honestly one of the best things I ever did. Being like, well, and I do a lot. Look, I function pretty quickly and highly and performatively and everything. So I do a lot, but I'm like, no, I can't hack that today. I'm not going to do it. I need to go lie down in my bed at
But
3 o'clock.
you
And
acquired that like you weren't like that in the beginning. And it's only
no,
been
I was
recent. You're going to
hurting
miss something. You're going to miss
every
something. But it's been recent in the last few years
yeah,
that I've noticed you say, I need this day to recharge. I need to,
yeah,
and that's a beginning in and of itself because you realize that you're even more to the people you love and your job and your world and your environment, the better you are to yourself. And I've noticed that in you, and it's
yeah.
there's a calming,
And
and that's perspective, and but it's not when you say limitations, I think people get derailed by that because they think, oh, I can't do that. You're talking about
not
when do you
evening,
need to stop in you, you know?
and understanding. No, I don't actually. I'm tired, and I don't want to do that. Or
Right.
no, I don't do that. I'm not obligated to do that. It's a choice. It's not saying I'm not like a beetle on its back going. It's like no, actually, I'm not capable of doing all this stuff in one day today or in this one week or going and seeing somebody that I don't really care about because I feel I should or whatever it is. It's all right. I know that I can burn bright all day and I fall out of the sky later and that's it. And it's always going to be like that. And that's fine. So don't this whole like,
And it
there's
also,
enough
right.
stuff. Just getting
And also,
out of bed in the morning and getting and being employed, whatever is enough, you know.
yeah, but and
You
that's
know,
also what, like people think. I know, but also people think in wellness. They think of wellness or as like fitness, and fitness is exercise. And I felt more healed and recharged after sitting with you at a restaurant and having a couple glasses of wine, and like looking at where we've been and where we hope to be going as more healing than the best exercise class.
fall into some paradigm that you think you're going to have to follow. Look, I really love my wine. I drink pretty much every day a couple glasses of wine. I also like, I'm not saying everybody go buy a case of wine, but I stopped beating myself up about that because I always sort of go like in France, but it's like I also know for me because I am such a high rever on everything I do during the day. If I don't have a couple of glasses of wine, I will like my probably have a heart failure. I'll just overreact. And I'm no longer in the business of being like, oh, I didn't, oh, okay, I had 2 glasses of wine last night. And I didn't get on the Peloton, and I didn't. I'm like, you know what? I fit in my pants. I'm pretty healthy. I'll exercise when I know it does make me feel better. Of course it does. And I'm always trying to get better at that. But I'm in no way, I'm 47 years old. I'm not about to be a swimsuit model. So all these things, also reconciling where we are in life. And it's like, who cares about that lady on Instagram that used 7 filters and what, like, we're not going to be that. Our currency is not that. So don't worry about it.
Absolutely. I mean, and that is such a place of empowerment. I mean, I did do a bathing suit
Yeah.
ad a couple of years ago, and I was so miserable by the time I got to the ad because I was starving
Yeah.
and I was exhausted that the minute the photo shoot was over, I went and got a cheeseburger. And I was like, like it was so interesting because even for me that because I was never, it's so funny in everything, it's always, well, she's never been rail thin and well, she
Oh,
doesn't fit in samples. And so it's like I grew up with that going, well, you're never skinny enough. That's why you never did runway. You were just from the neck up. That must meant that, there was this no connection to my body until like the Calvin Klein stuff. And that was like bizarre to me too. But
so
it's the pressure is so bizarre. And yet I don't love working out, but I do it because I know it's going to make me feel better, but
the other day at the Met Ball, I only watched a little bit of the live stream, but Stephanie Rule, who I love, NBC One,
I love her.
she's such a sassy pants. I freaking love her. And she sort of say she was watching with her daughter, but all she was watching in the live stream was all these gals talking about how they hadn't eaten so they could fit in their dresses. Just endless. Just was like, have we not?
I know.
Cultural currencies of their own. That's what they have to revert to. And it's still, I mean, look, it lives in all of us in some way. We're not being disingenuous and saying it doesn't. But my God, have we not come further than that? Like if you were 3 pounds, would your dress look worse? No.
Right. I mean, the whole mentality of that, but that's why I think the word, when you said perspective, that's a really good word because when you really are honest about perspective, it has a whole different
And that's
meaning.
what I talked to you about in my podcast. It was about perspective because that's what you have. And so, I really urge people not to get lost
Is that your favorite word? Perspective. What's your favorite word? I don't know my favorite word is.
I don't know. It's just funny that it keeps coming up and with us. What is my favorite word? No, my favorite. I don't think it's my favorite word, but I have a sort of life slogan I always say is underthink it. Like,
Oh,
because has anything
oh,
or anything?
I do not do that.
No, I don't. Yeah, because you go.
No.
But when you do everything, are you ever like, God, that worked out better because I overthought that?
No, well, Chris calls it fofo because he'll say, find out before you freak out. And I'll start going, and living in the wreckage of the future. And what if I did this? And he's like, hey, fofo, don't think about it. Find out before you freak out. Like, see where you are in it,
He just nails it.
Well, he is. He's our guy. So let me just digress just slightly. I don't know. Can we play a quick little game?
I love games, except not. No, I like little word games.
No, I'm not. I can't do any of those things. But like, all right, I'll begin a dinner order, and you finish it.
Okay.
My dinner order:
Yeah.
skinny margarita up with no salt.
That's your dinner order?
That's the beginning of my dinner order.
Okay.
You finish it.
The rest of it is in just one dish and one dish alone. Don Angie lasagna for two.
I knew it, Don Angie. Man, that melts in your mouth. The little roll-ups are.
It'd be like Lady and the Tramp eating it, and I'm the
and I'm the tramp.
Yes, and but no, that's it. No, and then we would have maybe another margarita, and then we just go, so how can lasagna also be kind of light and just go down so easy? And then we go, and then we'll get another margarita, and then we'll go, and then we'll go,
Now we're just happy and lucky. I mean, what they've done with that restaurant and as people, it's just, I love the tradition and their family and everything. Okay, I will begin a story and you finish it. There once was a little farm girl
oh,
who had dreams of a different world.
I can't imagine who that might be. And so she packed her bags and she followed her heart and her curiosity, and she, as we say in my country, gave it a go.
Okay. All right, let's see. I'll begin a sentence. Today, I am extremely grateful for
the trust and love of the love of my friends and family, and the trust from the people I work with, and the trust that I've earned in my career.
Awesome. Okay, so did they tell you that? So you know I can't draw, right? You know that, like, I can't, like, I stick figures. I can't even draw stick figures. But we've been given a piece of paper and a Sharpie. So I draw you, and you draw me.
We do one of these. Our friends in common have one of those drawing things from London. Remember?
We did. Remember we did that. We did that drawing party.
I can do it sort of if I take a minute, like if I'm looking at, like, okay, but like generally, no, it's a mess.
Okay, 30 seconds. I guess I don't know how we time it, but we'll time it. Okay, 30 seconds. Okay.
Wait, is it cool? She doesn't care.
She doesn't care. She's so not impressed.
Okay. All right. Ready? Am I going from you?
Oh, yeah. I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad at this. Oh
no.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
You look.
Oh no.
Oh no.
You don't even have eyes yet. Hang on.
You look like a little scary person. Okay, one more second. And I think that's it. We're done. I just want to apologize ahead of time. I want to apologize.
Thank you much.
I tried to smile. I tried to hair.
Oh my god! Okay, oh my god!
I can't draw. Okay, that's not bad. You got beat just eyebrows. I love it. Oh, LB.
Fine, I'll frame it and send it to you.
I'm sorry. I'm just sorry.
Oh, good.
I love you.
Kids. Sorry. Yeah.
I love you. Thank you very much, LB, Laura Brown, for spending time with me on Beginning Is Now. How about that? I'm so happy you came to talk to me as the first one. So bless you. Thank you.